Well, good morning. It's the 10th of June. I'm in near Gibraltar, very close to Gibraltar. I'm actually going to go across this morning, have a look around. I have been to Gibraltar before. Okay, let's tell you a little bit about the Rock of Gibraltar. It's quite an interesting place, very unusual when you walk around. It's actually a British overseas territory, which the Spanish have always been quite indignant about for years. But what's quite unique about it, it's its size, its sheer size. It's I think it's about 423 meters high, which is what, about 1,200 feet. It's very, very distinctive. And what it is, it's actually made of limestone. It's what they call a monolithic limestone promontory. And as you know, with limestone is normally on the bottom of a seabed, and it's all the dead organisms that have dropped down from the surface to the bottom, and over thousands or millions of years they're compressed and they form a sedimentary rock like sandstone. But the thing is, here in the Mediterranean, there's lots of these what I call limestone promontory. Normally got natural caverns in them, you know. But the thing is with Gibraltar, being in its location, I think the Romans used to call it the Pillars of Hercules, and it's obviously a natural fortification. I think the Moors, or the Berbers, when they first captured the southern part of Spain, or colonised it, the area is called Andalusia. They had built the first fortification here, and they actually called it, obviously not the Rock of Gibraltar, it was the Jebel El Tariq. And the British didn't actually capture the rock from the Spanish until I think it was about 1704. Well, it was one of the wars that they had. But there was a great siege that took place. There didn't, before the airport, there used to be just open water and a causeway that used to link La Linea here on the mainland to the Rock of Gibraltar. And there was this siege that went on. I think it went on for quite a long time. I think it was something like about 10 years or something. And what the Navy and the Army had to do, especially the Royal Engineers, they had to build these tunnels and embrasures to actually put in the cannons, because the Spanish, I think it was something like 40,000 Spanish on the mainland, and there was only about 4 or 5,000 Navy and Army personnel. But because of the limestone being relatively soft, they were able to build all these tunnels. It's absolutely riddled with tunnels. But funny, it takes me back to when I was a soldier. When I first joined the Army, I joined the Corps of Royal Engineers. I went to the #1 training regiment in Farnborough in Hampshire, and my troop sergeant was a Geordie called Sergeant Head, who I always remember had a very gravelly voice, and he had been a Royal Engineer miner and had spent a long time in Gibraltar. So when I go across today, and maybe over the next few days, I'll do some filming and see if I can look at some of the fortifications. But yeah, I mean, it's strange when you walk across, you go across, you have to show your passport, and you walk in, and you've got these massive, really massive embattlements that you go through, and then it's like coming back into the UK. You know, you've got Marks and Spencers, and but I think most of the people who work in the Rock of Gibraltar are Spanish that come across. There obviously are local Gibraltarian people who look really more like Spanish. Yeah, it's a fascinating place. This is Alcadiza Marina here on the La Linea side, which is just across from the Rock of Gibraltar. It's a nice marina. The facilities are fantastic. Very, very nice. Quite a good marina, so I'm pleased about that. And the fees aren't too expensive either, which is always a bonus. Well, it's amazing weather since I've arrived in Gibraltar. It's really warm, lovely and sunny, and there's lots of swallows around as well, which is always nice to see. As I'm just walking along now to where you cross over into Gibraltar. Anyway, my plans coming into the Mediterranean initially was to try and get some of the stuff I'd left with a friend in Venice, with Angela, and but then I thought, well, what should I do in the Med? You know, I'm on this round the world sailing odyssey, and I thought, yeah, what I could do, maybe do a circumnavigation of the Mediterranean. You know, work my way around the coastlines of the Med. So I thought, well, when I leave here, I've got to get my main sail sorted out. I had a bit of a problem with it. Where I lost one of the battens, and it doesn't seem to secure the battens properly. That's in the main, and also I noticed the reefing lines keep fraying, going through the metal cringles, like I think they call them. So I've got a guy, hopefully, may be able to sort them out for me. Anyway, so what's this circumnavigation of the Mediterranean all about? Well, I don't really know, but I thought, well, it'd be quite nice. I've never been down the western coastline of Italy. I haven't been to Corsica. I have been into the Aegean and Ionian, so I thought, well, maybe you could go and look at some of the Greek islands, maybe go across to Turkey, maybe even go to the Levant, to Israel, and then come on back, go across to Egypt, and then sail back to sail to Cyprus, Crete, and then to Sardinia, maybe back to the Balearic Islands, and then across to Morocco. I mean, I'm going to give myself for the rest of the year here in the Med, and then head out into the Atlantic next year to go down to South Africa. So I thought, see how it all goes, you know. I do advertise for crew from time to time, and so maybe I could pick up some crew. I've got a couple of people who are interested maybe to do a little bit of sailing with me. Quite happy sailing on my own, but it'd be quite nice, bit of company. So let's go and have a look at the Rock of Gibraltar, see what this is all about, eh? It's the border crossing here, and it's funny, you can see the Spanish flag in it, and just across the way you can see the Union Jack. So I'll be back in UK territory in about 5 or 10 minutes. Very strange. So Gibraltar's twinned with Goole, which is a strange place near Hull, and Ballymena in Northern Ireland, Funchal and Kingston, Jamaica. That's a good name, isn't it? Winston Churchill Avenue. So here we are. I'm actually in Gibraltar now. I had to have my passport stamped to go through. When I came in the early hours of the morning, I came in through here, and then I went across to here, and there was like a barrier across here, and then I had a look round. I couldn't get there, came all the way around here, same again, don't know, it's all full. So that's when I decided, no, just came out here. I went across to the marina on this side here, Alcadiza. This aircraft over here, this military aircraft, I saw this come in and land the other day. So I don't know if this is a US aircraft there, but this over here, this is the airfield. I think this might be an RAF aeroplane here, but there is a military presence still here. That's very strange. When I walked through the security, obviously I had my passport stamped on the Spanish side, and I then went through the UK side. You know, I've got a black bag with me here. I've got nothing in it, you know. I brought my bag so I can buy some foodstuffs, you know, UK foodstuffs. But you know, nobody checked inside the bag, and nobody did any. I mean, you know, I could have a bomb in here. I could be coming here up to no good, you know. But nobody checked, and I thought it's a bit lax, really, because you know, I think if you have a control area, then I think you need to do your job. And I mean, you don't have to go over the top with it, but you can obviously, so often you can do checks and just say, can I have a look inside your bag, please? You know, because we still have a threat, always a threat, all the time. Especially now when we've got a war going on with Russia, you know, it's a bit strange. Anyway, I just thought I'd highlight that. I think these, I might be wrong, but I think these are the Moorish battlements here from the 700 AD. Look very like it anyway. Yeah, this was the original causeway that went across before the airfield, so that made it more difficult to cross for the Spanish when they had the siege in the late 1700s. But obviously the airport was built again really for strategic purposes. I'm coming through into the main, through one of the main tunnels. You can see how thick these walls are for these battlements. I mean, that's why it was siege proof. So all this is embattlement walls. Look how thick they are. And then all of a sudden you come into where the barracks would have been for the various military contingents, the army and the navy. Obviously that was before an air force back in the 1700s. Probably this looks like something like an officer's mess. Certainly not for the ordinary ranks, that's for sure. It's like going back in time. It's an amazing place, really. It is a bit of history. I had a chat with the guitarist. He's a classically trained guitarist, actually, he writes his own music. I said to him, do you have any CDs? He said, no, I don't have any. He said, don't bother with those now. He's sort of retired and he just likes to sit and play, and it's nice there because the acoustics are very good. I did have an ulterior motive coming into Gibraltar. I kept thinking of fish and chips, and also I wanted to buy some English food, some sauce, you know, like the curry pataks, curry sauces. And I've just found a fish and chip shop, a bit early yet for fish and chips, but I might come back a little bit later. Roy's Fish and Chip Shop. Now this is one of the siege guns. They had to have the guns facing downwards from the embrasures. They had to build the tunnel through, open the thing out to make an embrasure, and they had to design so the cannons could fire down at the Spanish from the high ground. That's why it looks very strange in that trajectory. This was the Great Siege. I heard quite a lot of English accents. It's like a high street somewhere in the UK, especially when you walk past Marks and Spencer's. That's if they still have Marks and Spencer's here. I quite like a tipple of Jameson's, and I've got Jameson's here. Looks like a litre bottle for £12.50. That's sterling, so that's quite good, isn't it? This is an interesting statue here. This is actually a Royal Engineer Sapper, which is what I used to be years ago, and it was presented by the people of Gibraltar to the Corps of Royal Engineers to commemorate the continuous service given by the Corps on the Rock of Gibraltar from 1704 and the formation here in 1772 of the first body of soldiers of the Corps, then known as the Company of Soldier Artificers. I always remember in the Royal Engineers, it was when they used to talk, when the officers used to give a talk, it used to be or a general used to give a talk to the Corps of Royal Engineers. It was always officers and gentlemen of the Corps of Engineers. And once a sapper, always a sapper. So there we go. I don't fancy digging any tunnels while I'm here though, to be honest. You're looking, must be the governor's officers, or whatever they call them. Administration officers for Gibraltar. Well, this is the Royal Naval Base. I can see a naval vessel at the back. Funny, when I was out in Bermuda, they had the very same look about them, you know, these, what would you say, Victorian type barracks, or maybe earlier, all that look about them, made of limestone, look here. And the Bermuda was the same, very similar, the old naval dockyard there. Actually, I think that vessel there, Argus, is a fleet auxiliary ship. They're normally based in Falmouth in the UK. This is this Queensway Quay, and when I contacted them on the phone the other day, they said they were full. They don't look full to me, but maybe it's the size of my boat was too small. They wanted a bigger boat to make some more money. But I quite like it where I am at what do they call it, Alcadiza Marina. This is all brand new, I think. The whole rock's made of limestone. You can see all the different embrasures that the engineers dug out to put the guns in, the gun embraces. On the side here. Quite an aircraft this. The Royal Air Force, I thought it was a US plane. Didn't have anything like this when I was in the military. It's June the 15th and I'm just about to get the taxi down to the sailmaker. I went down yesterday in the taxi. I didn't know where I was going. I ended up going all the way down to Tarifa, and the reason why he's down there is to do not just with boating, but to do with windsurfing. It's a very popular windsurfing place because it's very windy. Anyway, I took the sail down yesterday, and he's sorted it, and I'm popping down again with the taxi driver this morning to pick up the sail, and there's a couple of things I'm going to take down with me for him to fix on the sail, and fingers crossed, hopefully the sail will be okay now, the mainsail. Oh, the taxi's waiting for me, sitting here tonight. It's a Toyota electrical taxi. It's very nice. It's a hybrid. Anyway, he's here waiting for me now. It said 10 o'clock, the sailmaker said. So he's keen. This is Tarifa down here, far away. I remember that lighthouse there when I came up the other day, and it was really, really windy, very, very rough. And I can see out there's lots of white caps. It's a very windy spot here. Yeah, I've come to the sailmaker now in Tenerife, so I'm just going to pop in. His name's Sam, a French guy.
Right, you can use that for many things.
Yeah, this is
block for.
Yeah.
It's stronger and at the end also cheaper.
Great.
Yeah.
This is Sam, by the way. Yes, this is the problem I had with the leech of the sail, where I had the reefing points. The metal circular crinkles which were fraying through the reefing lines. So we're going to put these on. Fingers crossed they'll do the job, and also the battens are going to be in more on a permanent basis, you know.
Yeah.
So now with these special non-frictional things, you shouldn't have any problem with the reefing lines fraying through anymore now. It's quite a windy spot here. This acts, the Straits of Gibraltar acts like a wind tunnel, and that's why you get these strong winds blowing through either from the west or from the east with the Levant. It just channels right through this strait. As I noticed the other day when I came past the Tenerife lighthouse, it was really rough. It took me ages to get up this last little piece of the strait. That low cloud there is amazing. Well, good morning. It's the 17th of June. I'm still in Gibraltar. I had the sail fixed, as you see on the recent video. I had the battens sort of put in more on a permanent basis, the main sail battens, and those special non-slip rings to stop the reefing lines from fraying. Put the sail back on Wednesday when I got the sail back, and so everything's more or less ready to go. I'm going to head off in the morning to Cartagena. Cartagena, quite an interesting place to do with the Phoenicians and Hannibal and his elephants. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that when I get there. There is actually a Venetian museum which I have been to before. So it's a very old, ancient seaport for the Venetians until the Romans conquered them in the Punic Wars. So anyway, off tomorrow morning. Hopefully the winds should start coming into my favour, and so that'll be my next leg before heading on to the Balearic Islands.